There's a star that lights the road. I take this ride. Just drive. I wanna be the only one to make it to the light. I take it to the edge where I lived 1,000 lives. Maybe I could be the one. I'll ride to the setting sun tonight. Just drive.
Welcome back to Jerez. See, I said it right that time. I didn't say Jerez. Jerez for day 3 of the test, our little roundup, our testing notebook. And as the sun sets on the paddock here, it sets on a happy Scuderia Ferrari because they have ended the day fastest and by some margin for Felipe Massa on a 17.8, 1 minute 17.8. Previous quickest time was an 18.2 yesterday from Romain Grosjean. So good work by Felipe Massa, and a little sign as to why Felipe Massa wasn't quite as happy, because I just asked him about this. I said, you know, you've done a fastest time. He said, well, first of all, that time was done on the soft tyre, whereas Jenson Button on the first day did a mid-18 on the hard tyre, and then that was on a green track as well, so that was pretty impressive. But also because he spent most of this test just doing leg work, donkey work you might call it, constant speed runs, aero evaluations, aero runs, and there's a lot of work on the first 3 days before he hands over to Pedro de la Rosa tomorrow. He said, we didn't do any setup at all on the first day, so it doesn't really count for anything. And there I think we have the truth as to why Fernando Alonso isn't here. I know I've been talking about this for the last couple of days. Alonso knows that really the first few days of a new car is all about debugging the system, and in fact that's a trend. If you have a look at some of the other number 1 drivers, not that teams perhaps will admit to having number 1 and number 2 drivers, but Sebastian Vettel has only turned up for the last 2 days of this first test. Maybe he wanted Mark Webber to debug the car for him. At Lotus, Kimi Räikkönen has only done the last 2 days. So I think the smarter driver knows that actually the glory isn't in driving the car for the very first time. The real work is to be achieved once you actually get the car fully sorted, and then you can really get on with the work. Didn't work for Kimi Räikkönen actually today, but we'll come on to that in just a moment. So yeah, Felipe Massa, I think, satisfied enough. They've got a good base Ferrari. It's not the complete disaster really, although that's the wrong word, of last year. It's a good base, something they can build on for the rest of the season and for the first race, because they've so seldom been truly competitive at the first race in Australia, Ferrari, in recent years. So it's something that they think they are looking good for. Some of you wanted to see Jenson Button's motorhome. This is it. We didn't get to it yesterday. So Button's motorhome and a button on the front of Button's motorhome. Very nice it is too, and Irish plates. Fully connected up there, as you can see, to electrics and other facilities. Right, we are at Lotus. Yeah, I just spoke to Kimi Räikkönen actually. He actually had more problems, electrical problems, than Romain Grosjean had in a couple of days running. Is that Gerard Lopez? It is. There's the owner of Genie Capital, the owner of the team, up there in a fetching baseball cap. So didn't really work for him that Grosjean had sorted out some of the bugs in the car. Didn't get quite as much work as he wanted done today, but still Kimi seemingly thinking that it is a good base on which to work. Found that he had a little bit of understeer in the car, as did Nico Rosberg. So Rosberg really gets the prize for hardest working man in Formula 1 today. He drove an incredible 148 laps. There's only Jenson Button breaking down at the end, which meant that he couldn't get the 150. And various stats have been bandied around the paddock, from Silverstone to Spa, apparently London to Paris, Stuttgart to Strasbourg, Rosberg came up with. So clearly thinking a bit more continental there. I don't know if any of them are true. Apparently it's about over 600 miles. But anyway, he has worked very hard indeed for the second quickest time of the day. Sebastian Vettel was happy enough, just settling into the car, working through some things. But you've already heard from him, but we'll be speaking to him. I'll be speaking to him on this notebook tomorrow. So we'll hear what he has to say. Then Kimi Räikkönen was next up. There's Jean-Eric Verne also getting his first day in the new Toro Rosso. Jenson Button, his 1 minute 18 lap time we spoke about, remains his fastest of the test. He's back in the car for his last day of testing today before Perez takes it over tomorrow, and seemed happy enough. But Felipe Massa said that time of Button's, presumably took a large part of the fuel out, was still incredible. So he did a good job. Esteban Gutierrez, or Steve Gutierrez, as I inevitably will call him throughout the season, was in action for Sauber and pronounced himself pretty happy. Better day for Max Chilton in the Marussia as well. Valtteri Bottas did a lot of tyre work on heavy fuel as well, which explains his comparatively poor lap times. Who was up next? Charles Pick for this team, Caterham here. And it was his first day using KERS, which of course hadn't occurred to me. His teammate Van der Gaard did the first 2 days for Caterham. Pick was in the Marussia, which didn't have KERS last year. So he was learning all about KERS today. He did KERS procedures, when to use it, how much to use. Obviously you've got 6.7 seconds to use throughout the lap where you want to do it, and he'd never done that before. I'll just come here, you can spin around here, Pete. KERS procedures if it all goes wrong, how to step out the car presumably without getting electrocuted, and he also actually had a problem in the middle of the day. I saw them changing the engine, so it was some kind of issue going on there, which meant an engine change, so he actually didn't get quite as much time as he would have liked. Look at that beautiful sunset there. And then Paul de Resta was the last guy with a broken exhaust. So not a particularly good day for Paul de Resta in the Force India. We are at the Sala de Prensa, the press centre here in Jerez, because I just want to show you through, just going to go all Radio 4 on you. I want to show you through some pictures of some nice bits that I've seen on the car. On the cars, I should say. So got a little computer set up here and some photos supplied to us by Sutton Images, Sutton Photographic. All their stuff here. Salt and vinegar, no. Tomato and onion is the chosen flavour of the Sutton Photographic photographers. Okay, right, let's get on with it. Who's used earplugs of these? Disgusting. Right. That's all right, I'll clear them up. I haven't thrown them away. Red Bull Racing. A couple of things that I've talked about but I haven't been able to show you, so let's just go through them with my rather nifty betting shop pen here. First of all, they've copied the slit in the front, just to the front bulkhead that Sauber ran last year. The air comes in through here, comes up there and just creates a nice little bit of airflow over the top. They've lost the letterbox, the little hole in the front nose that they had last year, and added that. So that's number one thing nicked off Sauber. You'll also be hearing about things called monkey seats. These are monkey seats. It's this little winglet just underneath the main centre line of the rear wing. So Red Bull have managed to add a monkey seat, as most of the teams had actually, to their new cars. The ubiquitous monkey seat. I think this is a phrase I'm going to work on throughout the season. I rather like that, ubiquitous monkey seat. So that's the slit in the front of the Red Bull there. You can see it a bit clearer there. And Mark Webber being pushed back there. The Red Bull multi-layered front wing, but we'll talk about that a little later. Let's move on to the other thing in the Red Bull. Yes, I was telling you about lots of detail changes, lots of lovely touches, perfecting what was already pretty brilliant on the Red Bull Racing. And this is one of them. This is in some of the ducting area around just underneath the exhaust. So the exhaust bulge here, and the exhaust flows into these channels and then out through the top of the diffuser, through those little guide vanes, being governed by that little barge board there. But also, it's taking air in. Do you remember, this is the area that they struggled to perfect last year. So to absolutely get it spot on this year, now they've had the time to work on it, they've put this extra little divider in here. So you've got a channel going in through there. Look, you can almost see daylight channel going through in there, through to the back of the car. So working that... This is just... I just like the photo. I just put it in there. I don't know whether that was Sebastian Vettel's... mood or his verdict on the car, as he spoke to Rocky, his engineer, Tim, his data engineer, and Adrian Newey there. I just like the photo. It speaks for itself. Right, let's move on to Ferrari. Much more tidied up car than last year, as I was saying earlier. Look at the area. I mean, obviously this is the floor they have to have, the sort of legality floor. And then look how tightly packaged it is towards the back of the car, this Coke bottle area. All this space for lovely air to rush through and then be worked by the diffuser and then out the back. So really nice job there. Not a big revolutionary change from last year. The exhausts are pretty much what they ended up. They've got an air outlet there from the radiators. So air comes in from the radiators there and then out on that little curve there. Exhausts and the Coanda effect coming in from there. So nice work from Ferrari. These were the little innovative baffles that I told you about, the little strakes, and it's just carrying on the strakes that come off the rear wing. But look at these two, I love them. Really, really nice work. These are the vortexes, just to govern the vortexes off the vortices, I should say, off the rear wing end plate. So these slats here have been there on pretty much every car for many, many years now. But these slats are new. In fact, they're not new. Giorgio Piola, who we'll be speaking to, one of the best technical journalists in the paddock, we'll be speaking to at the Barcelona test, was telling me that he last saw these on a Minardi about 10 years ago. So nothing is new in Formula One. There you go. It's better view there of the slats. I really, really like them. I love them. Nice new little development of an idea first from Minardi by Ferrari there. Right, let's move on. Oh yes, Felipe Massa was complaining about the cockpit getting hot, and so Ferrari opened up some of this cooling either side of the cockpit there. But we'll see whether hot cockpits become an issue for the Ferrari drivers throughout the year. Let's have a look at the McLaren. Pull rod suspension, look at that narrow angle that it has to achieve. So all the dampers and the torsion bars and everything are being pulled out from the bulkhead. They're down here. I want to show you this picture because it just shows you this lovely area. Now that they've raised the nose, look at all this lovely area where air can just billow out and flow high energy through the rest of the car. So really nicely, now they've gone for the higher nose McLaren with the step, although you can't see the step because it's covered up by the vanity panel. Nice work by McLaren there. Another view of it, and something, a better view of the pull rod there. You think that looks like it's the suspension, isn't it? Like all the push rods. It's not actually, that's the suspension arm there. This is new on the McLaren here, this triple element barge board here. 1, 2, 3. A lot of other cars you'll see just have one of it. So nice detail work from McLaren there. Let's move on to Lotus. They still have the double DRS, as we were saying yesterday, but look, the holes are sort of bunged up either side, the little ears either side of the air intake. So we'll see if they unbung them throughout the next test. They've also copied the Red Bull channels that we were talking about a little earlier, going underneath the car into the back. Less sophisticated than Red Bull. Red Bull's taking it on now, but that's what Lotus have done. Lotus exhaust had to make that metal because it was overheating on the carbon apparently. That's what they're doing. Oh, you can see the temperature sensors there, just seeing that it's not melting away the wishbones. Let's move on to the Mercedes front wing, and this was the new front wing they came with today. It's a quadruple, quintuple, whatever it is, 5 element front wing. So here we go. Come and have a look at this, Pete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 plane rear wing, and this really is a sort of trend that we're seeing. Nico Rosberg still saying that even with this new front wing, they were getting understeer in the car. So maybe some more front downforce is to be found. But that is something that we've seen actually on the Red Bull. 1, 2, they actually have 6 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can't see them behind them, but Red Bull has 6, so Mercedes have 5. So it's an idea that they've sort of, Red Bull started and then everybody else has been developed. And another monkey seat there on the Mercedes, and I think this is part of the passive DRS, the double DRS that is in development, but actually not on the car at the moment. Right, Sauber, you would have heard a lot about the small side pod air intakes. It actually still comes out, so there's still a bit of area there where they actually put the radiators, so it's not quite as small as you might have heard about. But there you go, look, there's the slit at the front that Sauber pioneered. They've still got it on their car that Red Bull have adopted, let's say, for this year. So there's the slit still on the Sauber of Nico Hülkenberg, and Sauber going less from their sort of down-sloping exhausts and more from the McLaren style of Coanda exhausts that we've seen in recent times. But some nice detail, I thought. I picked this out from the Sauber, a T-tray, a bib on the floor, forward part of the floor, a bit like the McLaren, and then look at this detail work on the bottom of the barge board, the tower barge board. Love it. Absolutely brilliant. Look at that. Beautiful. So really nice detail. Another monkey seat on the Sauber. You can tell I'm going to get excited about the ubiquitous monkey seat, can't you? Right, come on. We're getting silly now. Let's rocket through these. Force India, another team going with the little micro air intakes. Look at that, tiny compared to last year, but also very nicely shaped side pods and loads of air area for the air to flow in over the top of the floor there. Really nice tight Coke bottle at the back, Coke bottle shape at the back of the Force India there. So they've been making good use of their partnership with McLaren. These strakes on the front of the nose are interesting. They were on for the first 2 days of the car, I think, of the test. I think they took them off for today, but I'll see if they appear for the last test there. So something that Force India are trying. This is Williams with a new front wing as well that Valtteri Bottas was trying out. They've got one wing like this, and then they've got one with a bulge and one without a bulge on there, but I'm sure we'll see. Also with a modesty panel, so they do have a step nose under that, but it's being covered up by a little modesty panel on the Williams. Now, this is the modesty panel where you can actually see the join. This is Toro Rosso. So have a look at this. You can see, if you just come in here, there's the join, and there are these little fastening points where they can actually secure on the panel that covers the step in the nose. Toro Rosso apparently think that if a stone comes up and hits this part, it's only a thin bit of carbon fibre, if a stone comes up and hits this during the race, then it can easily break and it can sort of flap around. So they want to be able to pit the car and remove that modesty panel if they need to. Nice bit of thinking. Obviously it will take loads of time. Maybe they can just rip it off. But I wonder if that's something we're going to see, the modesty panels being damaged in the middle of a race. But lovely thin nose. Look at that. It's like a screwdriver. It's like a blade of a screwdriver at the front, is it? Not a Phillips, of course, flathead, but nice, isn't it? I really like that. Now, these are the vanes. Just let's wrap it up because I haven't got much time. I know I'm probably running out. These are the vanes that are causing the arguments. You're meant to have, as you've seen in all the other exhaust channels, just a straight channel coming out and nothing obscuring it. So it's this little vane here on the Caterham that a lot of other teams think is just plain illegal. We'll see if that gets removed before Australia, but take a look out for it. They've also got the little fins at the top of the bulkhead there, the top of the side pod entrance, and these, which I thought were rather nice, a nice split and some nice detail work on the Caterham as well. And let's finish off with Marussia. Excuse me. They've got a hole in the side, the forward side of the front of the rear wing end plate, I should say. So interesting there. No monkey seat there, so they might want to put one on if they feel like it. But nice little development there. So some nice touches on the Marussia, and here is their Coanda exhaust as well. So as you can see, no vane. They haven't taken the interpretation that Caterham have. They haven't put a vane there because they don't think it's legal. It's legal either. But a nice sort of proper Coanda exhaust. So nice to see from Marussia there. So there you go, a little explanation of some nice touches on all the cars, and thanks very much to the boys and girls at Sutton Photographic for supplying us with those photos. That's it for the notebook for today. We'll see you tomorrow.